We will call this meeting to order. Safety and Public Works, City of Brainerd. It is 6:45 p.m. on April 18th, 2022. We are partially in the council chambers, partially in Fort Myers, Florida. 7 agenda items tonight. First of which is an event parking lot closure application for the Armed Forces Freedom Festival. Paul, if you can walk us through this one.
Yeah, Sean, can you go to the agenda item while mine's loading here, please? Yeah, so this event is an event that is going to take place, I believe, on, what was it, May
21st.
May 21st. And it's at the Laurel Street parking lot. It's hosted by the VFW. They want to close the parking lot off and do a ceremony, like a flag retirement ceremony, flag folding ceremony. Have some games, adult and children's games out there, and just have an event for the community. Really not a lot to the event. They're just planning to have a portable sound system. All the alcohol and everything will be kept inside, so there's no permitting for that. They have porta potties for the event, and the VFW bathrooms will be available. And so really it's just the approval of the event with the conditions noted. I believe the conditions were to submit a traffic control request 1 week prior to the event, and then have them contact we usually have those businesses that close the parking lot down do some due diligence and contact the neighboring businesses that utilize that parking lot to make sure they're aware of the event, that it'll be closed down on that day. That's all I have.
Perfect. Anybody got a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any more discussion? Sounds like a great event. All in favor?
Does this have
say
to be
aye.
roll call because he's?
Yeah, it does.
Oh. Okay.
You want to call the roll, Paul, or do we?
Yeah, I can do it. Erickson,
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes, motion passes. Second item on the agenda is another event street closure application for Smiles on the Sippy. Go ahead and take us through that one, Paul.
All right, Sean, you want to scroll that one too? I'm still not loaded. So this is an event that we've had in the past, but it's really expanded this year. So this used to be what we called the Paddling Days. It used to be hosted by the Mississippi Headwaters Board. They've done some expansion this year. They've brought in Smiles for Jake, the Brainerd YMCA, of course, the Mississippi Headwaters Board, and they're going to do a family community event. They're expecting over 1,000 people. And it's basically an event, river paddling race to promote mental health and well-being. There's going to be music, youth activity stations, canoe kayak river races, fitness classes, all kinds of stuff going on. It'll take place in Rotary Park and Kiwanis Park. So the ask of the applicant is to close down East River Road, basically from College Drive, and close off the access to Jenny Street and kind of cordon off that area just for kind of pedestrian traffic. So they've been working on this for a long time. They'll have like a full stage setup, sound production, kind of like they do for the 4th of July down at the football fields. They've contracted for waste removal and for restrooms, utilizing a porta potty provider. Really a big event. We've actually, Katie Kaufman has been really active on this committee that's putting this event together. And so she actually went and got her, because it's a crowd size that exceeds, I don't remember what the limit is, but you have to have a crowd manager. And so she went and received that certification for this type of event because it's so large. And it's more or less, you could consider it a city-sponsored event, being that we're a part of it. We've been a part of it since its inception, and it's in the Brainerd Parks, and so Katie's been very heavily involved. A couple of things that came up when we discussed this with department heads is right now alcohol is only allowed in Memorial Park, and that is just for softball and adult softball games. The applicant did ask what considerations could be made to host alcohol at this event, whether that's sampling or whatever it is. So we brought this forward to the police chief and emergency services. They had some concerns with that, especially with the water activities going on. And so we don't recommend that we go and allow that at this park. Some of the other things that came up, BPU noted that they're going to need to access the lift station in case of an emergency. With the closure down there, that's obviously their main access to the lift station across the river. They just wanted to make note that if they do have someone that needs to get in there, that they're allowed to do so. Some of the other things, traffic control requests like normal. We did receive their insurance already. Sean, can you go? Oh, I actually have it up now, so I can go and look for it here. I don't believe there's really anything else to note except, I can go to the page here.
Beer served?
So yeah, the police staff will be available for the event for assistance. We've approved the parks permit. David Chansky with Community Development said that signs should be placed no more than 24 hours before the event and removed immediately following the event. That was it for the conditions. And so we are recommending approval of this application under the approval conditions listed in the application.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So looking at the description of activities, it says beer served, exploring this with JCs, so that would be struck.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, make that clear to them that, that's not gonna be allowed.
Okay.
One other thing actually that I didn't mention is we are gonna make note in this application that they need to coordinate this event with Crow Wing County Emergency Services so that they could have either their water patrol, their jet boat, or something out on the river for this event. Being that there's so many people and activities going on, we want to make sure that they're doing their due diligence and making sure they're contacting them for that service.
And those are the conditions that are noted on the application?
Yep.
Everything you mentioned?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make note of them. They didn't get included in the packet. They've been conversations that have been kind of ongoing, so.
Okay.
Just one question, Paul, about the parking.
Yep.
With 1,000 people expected, are they just directing traffic for parking over to the high school lower lot, or?
That was a discussion we had with them, and I think that's their plan. We'll obviously work with a parking plan with them. We don't want them parking in the neighborhoods adjacent to it either. So the hope is to have them park down at the high school parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. I have
Any
a
more questions?
motion if we're ready.
Go ahead. Ready.
I move to approve the attached event application under the conditions noted on the application, but without alcohol.
Yep,
Second.
and adding that they need to contact.
And they need to coordinate with Crow Wing County Emergency Services.
Second.
Right, motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a roll call vote. Go ahead, Paul, if you want to call the roll.
Erickson,
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Motion passes. Second here. Third item is a construction and maintenance cost share agreement with the Crow Wing County, for 2022 Cuyuna Lakes State Trail project. Go ahead and explain this one, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an agreement we enter into on projects that are within county right-of-way. So the portion of the project we're talking about is the portion of the trail that is located on County Road 45 in front of the MP Center. That is a county road, and so the county requires that we get this agreement in place for not only use of the right-of-way, but for future maintenance purposes. So what we've done is the county provided this draft agreement to us. It basically just covers that, the city has a trail project. We want to utilize Crow Wing County right-of-way for the project, be it a short segment. And it basically assigns duties. The city shall provide design engineering services for the project. The city shall construct the project at its cost. Any property acquisition is the city's responsibility. All future maintenance costs are the city's responsibility. So it's basically kind of taking all the onus off of the county from managing that trail and putting it on the city. From not only a construction standpoint, but from a future maintenance standpoint. So that includes all pavement maintenance, resurfacing it when it comes time, et cetera, et cetera. And then it just indemnifies both the city and county that we're mutually indemnifying each other from any claims that may come up during either the construction or anything that could happen on the trail in the future. So that's really the kind of the gist of the agreement. It's pretty a simple one, and staff is recommending approval of the agreement as it's shown in the packet.
Okay, makes sense to me. It's a city project. We should be the ones taking care of it. Yeah, any other discussion? Otherwise, go ahead with a motion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move to recommend approval of the attached agreement as proposed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry. Erickson,
Mr. Sandy?
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving to item number 4 is the approval of plans and specifications and authorizing bidding for improvement 19-02 west segment of the Cuyuna Lakes State Trail. Go ahead again, Paul.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a continuation of a project we've talked quite a bit about. So this portion, as I've explained before, we've broken this project into 3 separate segments. We've gone into construction on the MP Center segment. So if you travel into the MP Center today, you'll run into a little bit of construction going on. This segment is for the west segment of the trail project, which goes from basically County Road 45 or 13th Street and terminates at the Buffalo Hills Trail. As part of this project, we've broken it down into 3 separate kind of projects, if you could think of it that way. The first being the trail that goes, which is the reimbursable portion of the trail that goes from County Road 45 to the Buffalo Hills Trail, what we're considering the Cuyuna Lake State Trail. And the second portion being the adjacent street work. So as part of the trail project, the streets of Laurel Street between 12th and 13th and 12th Street Southeast between Norwood and Laurel Street are in very poor condition. And as part of the project, we're moving a curb line to help facilitate the trail construction next to the street. And so it's a perfect time to resurface that street and get that taken care of. So that's the second portion of the project. The third portion of the project is an alternate, which is the segment of trail that goes from the Buffalo Hills Trail up to, heads west up to 8th Street on our existing trail system on South 8th Street. And so if you can imagine that being fully connected across Norwood Street from the MP Center, that's where that trail would terminate. And that's a bit as an alternate. We're not exactly sure if the DNR will fund that at this point. We're going to have that conversation with them to see if that could be an eligible reimbursement expense. We did just put that as an alternate because we're not sure if that's going to be local funds or a reimbursable cost at this point. So that segment right there, it'll be bid on. However, we don't have to award it. Well, we don't have to award anything, but it gives us some flexibility on how we award the project. So the first project I talked about, which is just the trail, that is fully reimbursable by the DNR, and it has been reviewed by DNR staff. That estimated cost is $312,465. The second major portion of the project, which is the street project on Laurel Street and 12th Street Southeast, that is engineered estimated to be $195,234. And the third segment, which is the alternate portion of the project, which is the trail between Buffalo Hills and 8th Street, is $286,020. Total estimated project cost of $793,689. I attached the plan sheet that shows the kind of trail alignment and also put the engineer's estimate in the packet. What we're looking for tonight is to just get approval of the plans and specs and authorize the bidding. I did receive a schedule from SEH. I can pull that up. This is just draft right now, but we would start advertising on 4/22, and we would open bids on Wednesday, May 25th at this point. And so that's what we're kind of looking at right now. So if there's any questions, I can answer those now.
Does have any questions on this project?
No.
Pretty cut and dry. I think even before going into this, we're all probably thinking the same thing about the alternate $286,000 for, would it be a 3 block long portion of a trail?
Correct.
So
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see where they come back, but I wouldn't push to move forward on that anytime soon. Any other discussion or
Got a
anybody
motion?
got a motion?
Motion when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Move to approve the plans and specifications and authorizing bidding on this work.
Second.
Motion and a second. We can add in maybe the date,
The date? Do you
Wednesday,
want-
May 25th.
Yeah, bidding, so that's the opening date of the bidding, May 25th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Go ahead, Mr. Sandy.
Erickson,
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 5 is a construction materials testing agreement with the Braun Intertech for improvement 19-02 Cayuga Lake State Trail NP Center segment. Go ahead again, Paul.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a kind of a standard project cost that we have each year. This is for the materials testing for the MP Center segment of the Cayuga Lake State Trail. So not the west segment, the first segment that we've authorized moving forward. This is like materials testing like soil testing, subgrade compaction, concrete testing like compression cylinders, slump tests, air tests, bituminous testing, that kind of stuff. And that's really just for verification of the materials that are being put into the project to make sure that they meet the specification. So we take those test results, and if they don't meet specification, the contractor is subject to some deductions in the bid costs that they provided if they don't meet the intended specs. So this is kind of a Q&A type of thing to make sure we're getting what we specified. We don't have to follow any schedule materials control for this project, so we kept the testing kind of at a minimum. That's why you see the pretty minimal cost of $6,329. When we get into like federal funds and state aid funds, these materials testing contracts can become quite substantial in the ranges of $30,000 to $35,000. But this project being more of a local type project, we're keeping the materials testing kind of at a minimum and just verifying them on a case-by-case basis. So staff is recommending that we approve that quote from Braun at a cost not to exceed $6,329 for that improvement.
All right. Anybody got a motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move to recommend approval of the proposal provided by Braun Intertech and in an amount not to exceed $6,329 for materials testing on improvement 1902 Cayuga Lake State Trail NP segment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Go to a roll call vote. Go ahead, Mr. Sandy.
Erickson,
Yes.
Pritchett.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 6 is a review of the classification of land to non-conservation and future sale of tax forfeited lands. This is your last one here for today. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a notice we get from Crow Wing County. It's usually twice a year. It's basically concurring with their non-conservation status, and what that means is that the county these properties have gone into tax forfeiture. If the city wants, they can conserve the property and for potential future public use. That's for like streets, trails, stormwater ponds, any public use. And so when we get these notices, we send them around to all the staff. We look at them, we say, is there any future public use that we could see saving these parcels for public or for city purchase? If we don't see that, we would send a letter back to the county saying that we agree with their non-conservation status on these parcels so that they can go to the tax forfeit land sale. The 2 parcels in question tonight, there's one on, I believe, Laurel Street. Let me go down to I think there's maps attached.
Laurel and South 10th.
Yeah, Laurel and South 10th. It's what we call the Dixon Electric Building. And the other one being a random parcel out on Southeast 13th. It's in front of a home. It's just a platted parcel that's gone tax forfeit. The city doesn't see any need, or at least city staff doesn't see any need to hold these parcels in conservation for a future public use. So we're recommending that that we agree with the non-conservation status of these parcels so that they can be sold on the tax forfeit land sale by Crow Wing County.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Anybody have any more questions about these? Hearing none, go ahead and,
All right. Move that we concur with the non-conservation status for both parcels 41241526 and 41360899 so that they may be placed on the county tax forfeit land sale.
Second.
motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a roll call vote.
Erickson,
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Moving on to item number 7, and I think, Mr. Sandy, you're probably needed in PNF, correct?
No, I don't think so. They were gonna handle it. I'll run down there though and see if they need me.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Yep.
Mr. Kramvik, this is your item. Code enforcement direction. So for this one, you have a memo in the packet. I was thinking just to keep it cleaner, we could do one motion covering all of these unless somebody wants to change anything. So if you could just go through each one and explain a little bit of the history. You don't have to go into too much detail, and then what you're looking for as a recommendation to do with each one.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess we're bringing this today to the committee after the adoption of ordinance number 1524, the revised section of 320 of the city code that dictates essentially how we deal with violations of the city code. Today, staff is bringing 5 properties before the committee for review. These properties have ongoing violations. These properties we've essentially stopped during the winter time because they're tough to correct. So once the spring essentially started here, this is when we'd be going into the active code enforcement process again. So essentially staff is looking for direction from council as how to proceed with these cases as they have been ongoing for some time. So with that, the staff is going to be bringing recommendations, but per section 320, action against these parcels could include continued administrative citations in the amount determined by city council, abatement of the offenses depending on the type of offense, legal action at the recommendation of the city attorney depending on the type of offense, or ceasing corrective action. So with that, we'll go into the first of 5 properties. The first one to discuss is 303 J Street. So this property dates back to 2017. The city has been working with the property owner since then. So this is prior staff before myself and David. Some of the issues with this property include junk and debris, inoperable vehicles, illegal accessory structures, improper parking on unimproved surfaces in the front yard and boulevard. So this property, with this current staff, we originally received a complaint in the spring of 2021, and at that time we noted multiple violations, and you'll see in the packet, the main violations were a number of illegal sheds that were put up, and then parking issues as well in the front lawn. So some things that we've just seen but haven't cited over the winter here. There's still ongoing violations of inoperable vehicles as well as improper parking. However, they did show some of I guess availability to work with the city this past fall. So they have cleaned up a few of the items, but there still is some of those ongoing issues with the property. So with this one, our staff recommendation was sent to issue a new notice of violation, kind of coming from this meeting and what we're looking at doing going forward with the with code enforcement and our new adopted code. So issue a new notice of violation and follow citation schedule as outlined in section 320. So that is the first property. The next property, should we discuss this property before moving to the next one?
Yeah.
If anybody has something to say, I guess, but I think just to get through this and to timely manner, maybe just keep going if we can.
Okay.
Then vote them as a group then, or what?
I think we could do.
Or go
we could
back
either
to
do
them
single
then.
motions at the end, or we could just do one sweeping motion covering. If you look at that memo, they're all basically in there, but if you guys want to change something, we can do that too. Basically, that one is just, we're starting with the recommendation would be to start with the 3-phase or 3 citation rule at this time. And if it gets to 3 citations again, we talk about it here again. We'll give them one more chance since they have been working with us.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead, James.
Okay, next property is 319 North 9th Street. So this one, this property dates back to 2016. This one is part of the property maintenance code. So issues on this property is a deteriorating roof. So this one, our code compliance person with the city of Brainerd, he's been citing this since 2016. It's been $2,000 worth of fines every single year. He has come to some of the assessment disputes, I guess, here and wanted to dispute the assessment. The city has tried to direct him to the HRA to potentially there'd be some grants out there to fix this roof. But he continues really not to reach out to staff, and the building official as well as the building inspector definitely have some concerns for the integrity of the structure here. So with that, right now there's currently $900 in citations from this past fall, and again doesn't contact the department. So our recommendation for this one is issue a new notice of violation, and if compliance does not occur within 30 days, work with the city attorney to acquire an administrative search warrant for the building official to inspect the property as to whether the structure is fit for human habitation per the building code.
Just one question, that's on page 244? Is that what we're looking at in the packet? Because it would be really nice to have these individually bookmarked, you know, because I don't know how many pages there are on the first one. I'm
Yep.
still scrolling through
Yep.
it. So,
Yeah, I agree.
so where does that second property start? 319?
Yep,
Sorry,
319.
The property address, 319. So
But what page of the packet is what I'm asking?
Do you have a page on that one, Sean?
Okay. And all those pictures, they like to move so smoothly when you're scrolling. It's a little overkill. You can continue, I'm getting close. There we go.
You have a specific question about it, Dave?
No, but it's kind of nice to, you know, like look at the stuff when they're talking
yeah.
about it, you know.
I believe this property is just off of Washington, a block and a half, over by St. Francis, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah, we can come back to any of these too, so just go ahead and move on to the
Okay.
third if you can.
So the next property is 1612 10th Avenue Northeast. So this property we've been working with for the past year. It started last year with some complaints in the neighborhood. So they are what we've seen with the pictures and you know, some of our drive-by stuff is they're operating a salvage yard in a residential district. You'll see some of the pictures. There's vehicles on trailers. They were working on this stuff out in the street. We have been working with the police department. They did correct that part of it, but they continue to, you know, we're seeing them strip multiple cars per day, primarily catalytic converters and tires, and then they'll bring somebody to ship the vehicles out after that. So So right now, we have sent, obviously, some warning letters as well as $1,800 in current citations. The property owner has never reached out to the city regarding this property. So our recommendation with this one is to issue a new notice of violation. If compliance does not occur within 30 days, work with the city attorney to take appropriate legal action against the property owner. And we have had beginning discussions with the city attorney just to see what that would look like.
Great.
Okay?
Yep, go ahead with the fourth.
Okay, next property, 1889 Graydon. So this one, we have also received neighborhood complaints. This property dates back before myself and David as well in 2018. So former city planner Mark Osgard and David Chansky and myself have all attempted to work with the property owner. He was originally calling, asking for extensions of the property. You know, we were working with him. Eventually that time ran out. We have now sent $1,200 in open citations, and there's been no other contact with the community development department at this time. So this one is dealing with front yard parking as the main issue on the lawn. So our recommendation for this one is to issue a new notice of violation. Because it is only one vehicle that is parked on the front lawn, if compliance does not occur within 10 days, the issue shall be brought back before the Safety and Public Works Committee for further review, and then looking for direction, I guess, for one of the other options.
So, quick question. So,
Go ahead, Mr. Pritchett.
the original problem was a multitude of vehicles parked.
Multitude of vehicles.
Cleared that out, now he's got one.
He's down to one at this
Okay.
time. Yep. Okay, and the last property, so this one isn't addressed because it is a vacant lot. I believe there was probably a house on there at one time, now there's only a garage. So it's PID number 41191502. So this, issues with this property began in 2019 with neighbor complaints as well. The property owner is essentially using this property as a storage area. So outdoor storage of trailers on vacant lots is something that is not permitted within our code, as well as there's been a number of inoperable vehicles also stored on this property. So this one, the property owner originally worked with us on a few of the items on this property, but is no longer contacting the community development department. This individual bought this property within the city of Brainerd, but does not live in the city. He lives, we believe, Breezy Point or Cross Lake. So with this one, our recommendation is to issue a new notice of violation, and if compliance does not occur within 30 days, work with the city attorney to take appropriate legal action against the property owners.
Perfect. So,
Chair, I got
looking
a
at all
couple
those,
questions. This is Tad.
Yeah,
I've
go
got a
ahead.
couple questions. So James, they've received, all of these have received several citations in the past.
They have.
The packet's so long. Have any of them received citations since our last meeting when we approved the updated code?
They have not, so we'd be restarting this process.
This is starting,
Yep.
not fresh, but starting since there.
Yep, that's correct.
All these recommendations. And my second question then is, these recommendations for each of these properties in the memo, are they all, I guess, in alignment with that new code, but it's just specific to which particular issues each property has?
They are.
Is that a good summation of?
Yep, yep.
I think in our meeting, when I met with James on these last week, we basically wanted to give another chance to anybody who has shown that they wanted to work with the city. And I think we've kind of nailed that down with these recommendations. So unless you guys have a problem with any of them, I think the motion would just be to adopt the recommend.
No, I didn't have any problems with the recommendations. I just wanted to make sure that they were kind of starting from the starting point of the ordinance update. So this is other questions. I would move then to approve the following actions as laid out in the staff's memo for these 5 properties.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr.
Erickson,
Sandy?
Yes.
Pritchett,
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Motion passes. And that will adjourn us to the council meeting. I'm going to log out and log back into the other meeting if do I need to do that, Sean?
Yes, they're two different meetings.
Okay, I'll see you guys in a second.
See you soon.